Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whoever you are, wherever you are, welcome. We have with us the one and the only Haley MacLeod. And I'm super excited for you to be here because I've heard a lot about you through your dear friend, Valerie. But what I do know about you is you are an author, you're a poet, you're a public speaker, you're a mama to be,
Yes.
among a few things. But we're going to sit down and we're going to kind of go there with you today because you've also wrote a book, which in my mind is amazing. Anyone who could start that, finish it, put it to paper and get it out there, that's incredible.
Thank you.
Truly. So I commend you for that. But I want you to use this opportunity to share your story. So that's what we're going to do here
Perfect.
today.
Let's
And
do
we're
it.
going to start with who was Haley as a child?
Who was Haley as
Yeah.
a child? If I could say in some of a summary, it would be a beautiful disaster.
Oh.
And I say that as a child because my experience through my childhood shaped a lot of who I am today. And I had a really great experience, but also a very deep and traumatic and
Right.
disastrous experience. So it's
Right.
something when I reflect back to who I was in my youth, I always view myself as just in this time of a beautiful disaster because
Right.
it's led me to who I am, but it's also something that it took a long time to sort through and to understand and to heal and to connect. But one thing I could say certain of myself as a child was I've always been a writer. I've always been a poet. I've always been expressive in the form of art and maybe not able to sit down and communicate my pain through a conversation, but I could write you a poem or I could write you a song or I could go into my journal and completely pour myself into that at the end of the day and find solitude in my own comfort.
Right.
So as a child, I would just say I was a very creative, beautiful disaster. Yeah.
But one that at least you had that sense of knowing to find an outlet for yourself, right?
Totally.
And you found that through writing.
Writing, yeah. Writing has always, whether it was something so simple like me taking initiative to write the school play for Shakespeare or our drama class, or for me going as far as devoting my life to a career and being an author and becoming even a musician with my best friend, and just writing and music and poetry has just been my form of releasing anything I feel. I bottle everything up.
Right, 'cause you're a Taurus.
Yeah, being a Taurus on
feel
top
you.
of a creative
It's a lot.
artist inside just naturally as a kid, and being so connected to emotion. I'm very emotional. My spirit and soul really, really connects to those deep, deep parts of me that's an artist. So just being kind of in that realm of creativity, I would say that's music or art or poetry. That's just how I express
That's
myself.
how you express. I think that's a wonderful way to get it out, because if you don't get
Yeah.
it out, it
Stays
doesn't serve
in.
you well.
No.
Yeah, it does not serve you well.
And that's when you bottle everything in. If you don't have a form of healing, or if you don't have a form of releasing your pain, you just go on to live the rest
Carry
of
it
your
with you.
life
Yeah.
with this burden inside of you. And I don't believe people deserve to live that way. I think we all have a path of healing. We just have to take the time to find it and to understand it. So something that I was like, okay, I've been through some stuff,
Right.
but I'm going to heal because
Yes.
of it. And I'm not going to become my pain. I'm going to heal and be better because of my pain.
So you made that choice,
Absolutely.
and it
made
is a choice.
It's a choice.
Isn't it?
It's 1,000%
Yeah.
a choice.
Yeah.
100%.
So growing up, what did your home life look like?
My home life was, again, a beautiful disaster. I came from just a middle class family. Like, we weren't the richest and we weren't the poorest. We didn't have absolutely nothing and we didn't have everything. So it was something we were kind of in the grounds with. And my father was an alcoholic and had his own demons and
Yeah.
addictions, and he had struggled throughout his whole life with. And my mom was someone that did her best trying to raise 4 kids. And after my parents had split up, she kind of just took on the role and the pressure. And my mom kind of fell into like a depression, and
I'm sure she did.
she is no longer in my life. We haven't spoken years and years since a teenager.
Really?
And so it's something where just coming from, I talk about it a lot in my book, like I was birthed from the hands of 2 parents that didn't know how to love each other. And as a result of them not knowing how to love each other, they gave 4 kids kind of a disastrous way to grow up and to be in a world where you don't see love on your parents, or if you don't feel love within your family, or if you don't even know what love is, you will spend the rest of your life trying to seek that and follow that and become that. And I think just growing up with an alcoholic father and then growing up with a very depressed mom that
Yeah.
did her best to do the job as a mom and provide for us and carry the weight of being a single mom, and just going through life kind of not having a good relationship with my dad, and
Right.
having like the abuse and the alcoholism kind of take a toll on her spirit.
Right.
I just think coming to a point within herself, she like just couldn't
Yeah. She wasn't
really
capable of
yeah,
it.
she couldn't just find a way to exist as this person that she had spent her whole life trying to raise kids and become. She just wanted her own identity.
Right.
So just growing up in the hands of like an addiction and kind of depression and just a toxic
Disharmony.
environment. Yeah,
Disharmony.
just
Yeah.
a very toxic environment made me grow so much as a soul. And it made me realize everything is a choice, right? And I have my sisters. We're all 4 of us are girls.
All girls.
Yeah. And
Wow.
in a lot of my sisters' paths and choices, a lot of it stems from kind of our background and
stuff.
where we came from. Like you can just see a lot of the way the directions of their life, and just the direction of my life, like choosing to heal and choosing to overcome and choosing to kind of get past those demons and those things that follow you and the patterns that your parents kind of show you.
Well, you know,
So-
it's funny because half the time, and I've come to realize this too, my upbringing, it wasn't the worst. It wasn't awful. I definitely felt loved, but I come from a broken home. But what I've come to realize is half my stuff isn't even my stuff.
Yes, and that's the
That's been
biggest
passed
thing.
along, right?
Yeah.
And there's some people that don't believe in the whole generational trauma. I am one person that believes in it very much so, because what your parents learned to be normal is what you learn to be normal.
Yes.
Until you step back and say, "Whoa, that's not right. This doesn't feel good." Right? But
Absolutely.
it definitely takes a lot of conscious effort to
Yes.
recognize, realize,
Yeah.
and then choose and to heal.
Absolutely.
You have to want to do better.
You do.
Yeah.
You do. And it's it all comes down to that choice. Like,
Yeah.
I think following a path of addiction was something heavy in my youngest sister, and she had struggled with the same things my dad did, heavily drinking, suicide,
Oh.
just some deep, deep demons that, like you just said,
Heavy
that
stuff.
almost weren't hers
Hers.
to begin with, but her soul took it on as
Yeah.
a battle because of how much she loved my dad, right? And that's something where when you come from a place of brokenness or trauma or any sorts of raised in a household, if there's abuse or if there's addiction or if there is any kind of just
Unhealthy
yeah,
patterns.
just
eh?
a toxic place, as much as you don't realize that when you start to develop into your adulthood and you're growing and you're in your 20s and you're going through life, that stuff weighs the heaviest on you.
Oh.
If you haven't dealt with the things that your parents or your past or you've been through in your life, if you can't look in the mirror and accept yourself and be in a healing state of mind, you just become what you grew up in, right?
Yeah.
So I made it a decision. Like, I fought so hard in my youth and in my teens, and I was an overachiever. Like, I compensated in expressing myself to be just an overachiever. Like, I'm going to be successful and I'm never going to be like my mom or my dad. And if I ever have a family and if I'm ever a mom, I'm going to be all these things, because I just was like,
Because I'm
I
not
want
going to be
better.
that.
Yeah, I want a better life for myself, and I chose that. So here I am today, like, author, and I do a lot of suicide awareness, and I kind of give back to the things that I had went through in hopes that I can make someone else's journey easier, or I can help someone else heal, because no one was there for me to be
Right.
like, this is how you get through life.
Yeah.
This is how you're going to do it. And this is how you heal. And this is how you do better. It was something like trial and error and tears. And the hardest thing I ever did was choose a path of healing, because
Yeah.
it was like, well, you better be ready for what comes with that healing. And
'Cause-
it's truth.
And
It
it's
is,
and it's
yeah,
heavy and it's hard and it's not
it's
easy.
no, it's deep.
It is deep. Yes.
Soul searching to
Yeah.
be like, how do I elevate from this,
Yeah.
right? So
To even go there and acknowledge it.
yeah.
Right? But I feel as if in this life, if you want true love, and that's all forms of love, in my opinion. The
Yeah.
purpose of us all being here is love, to experience it, to give it, to
Absolutely.
share in it.
It is, yeah.
If you want that, you got to open yourself, so you got to take everything.
You do.
Right?
Yeah.
You can't just pick and choose. You got to be open enough, and you got to let it all come
Yeah.
in so you can move through it. So healing is just making that decision to heal is so brave.
So brave.
It is
really is.
so brave. As many people out there that have the stigmas around, talking to someone, seeking out help.
Yeah.
It is the bravest, most difficult thing you could do. That is the best thing, because at the end of the day, what other choice do you have? What other alternative do you have if you want to live your one really good life?
Yeah, and understand your
Right.
life, right? A lot of things happen to us, and I feel like we don't take the time to understand why do they happen
Yes.
to us, and what can we do to
Yeah.
make that experience the best for ourselves. A lot of things are not going to go good in your
No.
life, and they're not going to
No.
go as planned, and you're going to meet people and get yourself into situations and have these things happen to you, and you're going to have to wake up one day and have some sort of state of healing inside yourself to be able to accept who you are, where you are, and the life that you were given. And so I've just made that like my mission is just, some days are hard, some
course.
days I look back, especially being a mom now, and like I don't have my parents in my life, and that's a
Yeah.
big thing. People are like, oh, your mom and your dad, how do they feel, this and that, and sometimes it hits me, and then sometimes I'm like, this is my story, this is my
Yeah.
truth, this is what God gave me,
And this is okay.
and I accept it.
Yeah.
Like, I have fully accepted
Right.
my past, present, and future. So
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And so when did you get to that point, before or after your dad's passing?
I've always been on a journey, and I could say writing my book took 7 years. So in that 7 years was a very transformative time for me. My father had passed away just right in between that mark of everything that I wanted to become and everything with my book and writing. I'll actually tell you like the backstory to my book.
Please
Me
do.
and my dad really connected on like an artistic side. I would say the healthiest, the best part, the thing I miss the most about him being here was he just understood my soul. Like, I'm an artist and I see the world as such a different color than a lot of people. And he always like knew that was a huge part of me. And he had seen a psychic one day. He was walking randomly, and they came up to him and was like, you're going to write a book in your lifetime. And my dad was like, I'm not going to write a book. Like, can't even spell. Like, I'm not good at this. I'm
Not
like,
me.
I'm not writing no book. And it was years later where my grandma had this old typewriter from like, who knows, the 60s.
Like that.
Like literally like an IBM typewriter.
I love it.
And I seen it one day in the garage, and I was like, I don't know why, but like,
It was calling you.
I didn't know anything about poetry. I didn't know nothing about typewriting, and I loved Shakespeare, and that was as deep as poetry and literature I had went, right? And I remember connecting to this piece of machine. It was a typewriter, and I was like, my soul like needs this. I had been always writing music, songs, poetry, whatever it was that I just let it out, but I never shared, you know.
Right.
So I went inside to my dad and I was like, Kate, I am going to use this typewriter. I don't even know why. And then he was like, let me just, like, okay, do your thing, come back in a couple minutes. Figured it out, and I wrote a poem, just free verse off the top of my head. Gave it to him, and he cried, like his soul cried so hard. And he looked at me and he was like, I had someone, a psychic, randomly come up to me like a couple years ago, and she walked by me and was like, you're gonna write a book. And then he's like, I'm crying right now in this moment because it's not me she was speaking to. It's you. And he's like, promise me, no matter what you do, you write a book. You write this book. And I was like, what do you mean book? Like everyone, like, I didn't even know I was writing a book at that time. So I was just like, what? Like I was just writing, right? And then I sat there, like having shared this poem with him, and he just cried and cried. And I'm very emotional. So I was like, this is heavy. I had wrote it about him. I just wanted him to see a form of himself. And I do that to people. Like I'll write them a piece, or I'll send them a piece. If they're feeling a way or going through something, I'll just write you something. And his emotion attached to what I had wrote to him, I was like, this is deep. Like, I don't even know what he's talking about, but like I'm writing a book. And then it had all worked out. Years had passed. And my father ended up committing suicide. And it was like the most transformative thing in this whole process for me. But it was like this whole time since a young kid, it's like I was always writing a book. Like from a kid, I didn't even know it, but my soul was learning how to express in a form of art that is just came into a book.
Form as
and it's so wild. I think back and all the signs and the visions and the dreams I had of like standing in front of an audience of like thousands of people. I always thought I was going to be a singer, always. I was like, I was born to be a singer. Me and my best friend spent our whole life building like a career in music and being on stages. And then I was like, maybe the stage I dream about isn't me holding a mic or a guitar or a piano. The stage I dream about is like 25,000 people, and they're here because of my story. And then that's when I was like, I've always been writing a book. Like,
okay, how mind-blowing is that?
Yeah, insane. It took a long time for me to piece everything together. Like my father's passing to him just even saying something so simple as like, someone came up to me and was like, you're going to do this book. And he's like, it's not me, it's you. And just having shared that moment before he passed, and having like, I joke about it all the time. Like every Starbucks knows me for sure in this city, because I spent 9 hours a day there at least just writing. I didn't even know what for. I was just writing. I was writing. You
just trusted in the fact that that's what you had to do.
Literally, like if you ask my best friend, I bought an iPad on Christmas for no reason. And I was like buying this iPad, and I downloaded this typewriting app, and I have like thousands and thousands of pieces on that little iPad. And that's what started my book, Room 5608, was like, it was like this calling I had that I didn't even know I had. Like I had no idea I was going to be an author, and no idea I would be a poet. Like if someone's like, Haley, you would be a poet when you grow up, or be like, okay, cool, but what?
Yeah.
So it was something where the universe and God just kind of brought me to who I am in its own beautiful kind of way. So
just the way it was supposed to be.
Just the way my life has mapped out. I'm like, everything I went through, all the pain, all the hurt, all the healing, all the transformation, it was all to birth that piece of art right there, that book, that truth, that piece in me that like everything I've ever felt, everything that I have lived and existed in an energy form lives in that book, in those writings. So
And you're just sharing
yeah,
it.
just sharing,
You're
like
sharing
just to help heal.
Yeah.
I think healing is something
Yeah.
we all deserve. So
100%. And I think having sharing in conversations also.
connections.
Yes, that connection, right? Like we're not here to be lone wolves.
No.
We're really not. That's not the intent of humanity, the
No.
humankind.
No.
And when you could meet and connect with someone who's really a perfect stranger,
Yeah.
right? I think it validates the
It
fact that
does.
we are so connected.
Mm-hmm.
And I love how, as much as you didn't see the end result or the final, not that this is final, but you didn't see what things were going to look like for you.
No.
You trusted and you were listening, right? Like the universe, they'll knock on your, they will knock on your door. They will
like, without you even knowing.
Without you even knowing.
Anything.
But I agree. But if you're tuned in, and I think if you're in yourself enough, and if you're aware enough,
if you're awake, your soul will find its purpose here. And that's something I owe a lot to my best friend, Valerie, too, is because I never shared, like, Instagram was, I would post pictures of me and her on vacation. And I never wanted to put my art up because it was me. It was my story. It was like, this is
personal.
deep. This is so vulnerable. And, like, I don't want the world to sit and tell me this or comment that or like this is art, like this is me healing, like this is deep to me. And she would read it and be like, you have to put this up, like you got to share this. And I'm like, no, I'll just like stick to this music career. But it was something where she like every day was like, put it up, like put it on your Instagram. And we were in Las Vegas one weekend and she was like, Haley, like just put up this, like it's too good to be just you having this, like you gotta help people, like you gotta like this will inspire people. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. And I like it was I think 2000 and maybe 16 or 17 I started sharing my poetry, and there's the response I got and the universe just telling me like this is your place and this is your purpose, and the people from all over the world, like thousands and thousands of people reaching out to me. I have like a girl that got it tattooed, like a couple of my pieces. I've like there are tattoos on people's body. I have messages daily. Like I have a community of people that are like, I'm going through this. I need you because I trust you and I validate you and you've helped me so much heal and grow. And I knew it was my purpose when, like, one of my all-time idols, Jessie J, she's a singer, she reposted one of the deepest pieces I wrote before, like, my dad passed, and she had posted that particular piece. And what's the craziest thing is, that was my dad, like I said, we connected heavily with art and music. We would listen to her all the time. Like, YouTube, doesn't matter what it was, like her vocal range is
ridiculous.
Just incredible. And I love like a good singer like Christina Aguilera, Aretha Franklin, like Nina Simone. Like you give me soul music, and she just has soul. And me and my dad would cry, like again, emotional people, just cry and cry listening to her just sing, just share her soul and truth, right? And she had reposted this, and I remember like waking up my best friend. I was like, Val, Jessie J, this isn't this is a dream. Like I wrote something and it's reached that mass level of connection. And her like caption in her Instagram was like alive. Just like the feeling of like what it means to be alive. And she had reposted and connected to that. And I just cried. I remember just being like, my dad did this. I like had this feeling. I was like, my dad set this up, like from the other side, like in his angel spirit, like he brought my poetry to her and showed me like, this is who I am and this is where I'm supposed to be. That's when kind of like everything started coming full circle to me, was just little small things like writing a book, finding truth in that, helping people in that, being able to heal from it. Then it's like, you know, you have moments where someone gets a tattoo of your words on their skin and you're like, this is beyond me. Like, this is like 100%. Taken its form of its own. This was meant to be me. This was my purpose all along. I just didn't know it. So.
And your purpose too is such it's serving other people, right? Like that's
Totally.
when you know something is bigger or greater than you,
Than you. Yeah.
right? Is when it's
100%.
not all about you. If
Yeah.
you're that conduit, or
Mm-hmm.
you're what is, you're that vehicle,
The vessel,
the
like you're
vessel.
just the,
But
and
it's
God's
for,
working.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
I find that that is just, that's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah.
That is beautiful. And so this was 3-4 years ago then that this all kind of
Yeah.
started to just opened up.
Yes, like like it, if I go back to my life board, I'm like, it took 7 years to write that book because I was writing it before I even knew it.
Right.
So I go back and read pieces that I put in there. I'm like, there's no way I can't not put the
No.
first things I ever wrote on that iPad in
Right.
there. Like, yeah, your artistry develops and you get a better sense of style and understanding, but I kept, that book is full of like the whole 7 years it took of me just writing.
Yeah, like
completely.
the
Yeah,
raw
everything.
Haley.
The
Yeah.
raw. There's just me not even knowing I was an author, not even knowing, and then knowing I was going to be an author and a poet and having a community already built online. It was like me before and me after. So the book is just, you can even like just tell, and when you read it, just my sense of style. And I was very hurt when I was in that place when I first started writing. I was very hurt. I was very broken. I was trying to understand myself, and just being a teenager and just having a part of me that is like, why is this my life? I used to say that all the time. Like, why'd you give this life to me, God? And then I'd always be like hit back with like, because you can handle it. Because
Amen.
you can handle
Amen.
it. So it took this crazy journey of me being like very angry and very hurt, like very angry at my mom, very angry at my dad, just being like, how could you do this? Then the transformation of me being like, I am letting you go so
Yeah.
I can heal. And like, you can just read in my story and through my pages inside room 5608, just the story of me healing. And that's all it is. Just pure healing.
Pure healing. And so when did your dad pass? How old were you?
I was 20.
20.
Yeah, I was 20.
You were 20.
It's such a phase of
I'm
a
sure it's blurry.
memory.
I'm
It's
sure.
so,
Yeah.
it's,
I
yeah.
just think, so you had got, so high school for you,
Yes.
you said you were an overachiever.
Yeah, and just period. Like, even in elementary, even in grade 3, like, I've just always
That's always been you?
I've always been an overachiever, and I realize it's to compensate with, I'm so afraid of failing.
Yes.
Or I'm so afraid of not being the person I was meant to be. Just watching the way my mom regretted life and regretted like everything that she gave up for us. Like, why? And I just was like, I don't want to live in this state of regret. So I'm just going to do everything. I'm going to
Yes.
achieve everything.
Yes.
I wanted to be a lawyer, you know, that's because the fire in me,
Yeah.
and I wanted to help people and kids and that had went through what I went through.
Right.
And then I was like, no, I want to be a singer to share my story. Like, I just wanted always to be passion and purpose and driven. I've just always been that way.
Well, I think that's a pretty amazing thing, considering you didn't necessarily learn that.
Yeah.
Luckily you had that within yourself, right? And I think, as much as sounds as though what you did learn from your mom was what you didn't want to be.
Yes.
So you did.
100%.
There was a lot. There's a lot of lessons.
Oh, yeah.
In that, even, right?
Deep lessons.
I think sometimes we think a lesson has to be like a positive thing, like, oh, I knew this is how I want it to be or who I want it to be. Sometimes no, someone is there or something happens to show you that is not what I want to do, or that is not where I want to be. And so the fact that you were still able to turn that around and use it as a tool to get yourself where you are now, Haley, that's amazing.
Yeah. Like,
That is
it's
amazing.
healing though, right? And it's being awake inside yourself, because you can, I could have easily grown up and lived my whole life in a state of anger. I really could have chosen that for myself. And
it would have been easy.
A lot of people do. A lot of people do not accept the things that have happened to them. And I just, like, I've lived in that for so long that I was like, this is no way to live.
No.
Like, this is no way for me to spend my one life here feeling anything but alive. And then I like devoted my life to, if it doesn't make me feel alive, I don't want it.
Yeah.
If it doesn't give me passion, if it doesn't excite me, if I don't wake up every day and I am happy of who I am or who I'm with or what I'm doing, then I don't want it.
Right.
Then I don't. Because if we're here to be alive, and we're
Yeah.
here to feel, and we're here to live the best life we can. So I just was like, if I'm not going to do this for myself, nobody is.
Yeah.
So if I don't choose this, who else is going to choose this
That's
for
right.
me?
That's
So I'm
right.
like, any truth, any form of art, any form of just healing, I'm all for it.
You're all for it.
For everybody. I think everyone deserves to heal.
I agree. I agree with that. And I think more times than not, I think ultimately people want to. I think a lot of people don't even know how to go about that though, right?
Absolutely.
It's
yeah.
to make that step will, like, sometimes your life and your hurt can seem so big.
Yeah.
It can seem like the biggest mountain that is completely impossible to
Yes.
climb, right?
Oh, yes.
But I think when you just bring it back down,
Mm-hmm.
I think seeking help is a wonderful thing.
Yeah,
And then
totally.
seeking an outlet. We all, like, you use the word release, which I love it. Because if you're not releasing it, you're just piling
You're
that up,
holding it.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that is, because you're
Yeah.
25?
Yes. Yeah. It's like I've lived, but still got
Yeah.
more to live. But
No,
I've
but
lived
you're
enough
wise.
to know that.
What you want and what you don't want.
Yeah, and you have to be able to sit with yourself at the end of the day and ask yourself, like, am I happy with who I am, with what I'm doing with my life, and with everything that, like, do I accept myself? And I think if you can't sit down at the end of the day and be okay with who you are and be in a state of healing and be in kind of a place where you're like, I accept and I welcome and I forgive and I'm here. If you don't feel that, you can at that moment rebuild everything then. Like, it is never too late
I
to
agree.
reinvent yourself, rebuild yourself, and to heal. It is never too late. You could wake up 50 years old and be like, what did I do for the last 50
Yeah.
years? You can then spend the rest of your life living the best healing, transformative path you can have. You just have to wake up and choose it. You do.
I agree. This is our purple earth, and everyone has a story. If you have a story that you want to share, I would love to hear it. Let's share in conversation. Let's learn from each other. Hit me up on Instagram at Our Purple Earth. So this book, this lovely book that was a book before you even knew it was a book, where can people find this?
So you can find it if you're in Calgary. You could find it like at the local chapters or Indigo stores. Mostly online though, as
Okay.
the world's moving to online. So Amazon, you can go on my website, hmpoetry.com, or you can always just like send me a DM. I do giveaways a lot. So Instagram, you can follow me, Haley MacLeod at just Instagram.
Yeah.
Whatever, however you,
Right.
how do you
The
explain
@ sign?
the
I
at
don't know.
Haley MacLeod?
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And in terms of public speaking,
Mhm.
so this is one thing, but you
Yeah.
getting into public speaking.
Yeah.
So did that just happen as a result of this happening?
Yeah,
Like, how did that
so-
come to be?
So I think with like public speaking, a lot of big things I'm starting to do this year with it and start in my own journey, opening up more about suicide awareness. A lot of it came from having my father pass away from suicide, and my youngest sister has struggled with suicide and attempts of suicide. And it's just something where I believe it's in my power to use my voice to help people. First of all, be aware of it. Second of all, how to get through it. And whether you are suicidal or whether you know someone that has lost someone to it or you have lost someone yourself, whether it's you or someone else, I think just being able to have an open conversation about it so we can help heal or we can help someone or I can help someone.
Right.
It's something that I've kind of shifted my focus in the direction of my career, suicide awareness. So
Right.
this coming year will be a big year. I'm in the works of starting a charity for suicide awareness and just starting my own kind of platform to just bring light to something that I think has been kept so dark and so
100%,
hidden
yes.
and just through that, this year
That's
I
where
just told myself, I'm like, this year I'm just shifting suicide awareness. So
good for you.
you will see more of that to come this year.
I feel like you pay attention to what you're called to do.
I do.
You pay attention,
Mm-hmm.
don't you?
I listen to my soul.
You
I do. I think
You're
that's
tapped in.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. If you want to live a life of purpose and passion and find yourself, you got to listen to your soul. So many
100%.
outside factors.
I know.
And
Distractions.
so much trying
Yeah.
to drain and take from
Yeah.
us. I think if you just listen to your soul, you'll always end up where you need to be.
And so, how do you meditate? Are you someone who
I'm
meditates?
into meditating. Sometimes I get a little bit like my brain starts writing a piece of poetry or a song or something. But yeah, I definitely every day, no matter what, I take time to reflect. I write. Like writing is my meditation. So
Right.
I write every day. I don't think there's been a day in my life for like the last 7, 8, I don't even know how long, like years that I write every day. So
Every day.
I guess that's my meditation.
That's your meditation.
Yeah, writing.
That's
Just write
incredible.
it out.
You just write it out. No, I love it.
Yeah, even if I'm like in Safeway picking up groceries, I'll just like write on my notes quickly. I'll like have this like deep thought, and I'm like, oh my gosh, or like standing in line writing on my phone, or I'll be like driving and like recording a video of myself. Like I just am writing. Like
Right.
I'm healing, I'm meditating, I'm thinking about everything.
Yeah.
Like stuff will hit me like from 10 years ago, and I'll just write about it like randomly. It'll be like 3 a.m. So I'm always healing.
You're
always,
always
always. Mm-hmm.
And how wonderful. So let's talk about this for a minute, because I love how you
Yes.
described yourself as a mama, which you are.
Yeah.
But more times than not, people don't call themselves a mom until the baby has arrived and is out here in the world.
No, oh my gosh, no.
You're a
This
mama.
is my baby.
Yes.
This is my little baby.
And so you are due soonish,
Yes,
aren't you?
April, mid-April. So spring baby, just
Spring
like me.
baby,
So
yeah.
I feel like her soul will have a lot of good growth, and she'll be surrounded by incredible energy.
Right.
So
This is
it's
very
really
exciting.
exciting for me.
Very
yeah,
exciting.
especially because I always think of it. I was talking with my midwife, because they talk a lot about your parents, and they talk a lot about like, how does your mom and how does your dad? And like, I had a breakdown. I was like, okay, my parents aren't in my life. Like, this is I didn't think it'd be this hard, but like, this is going to be another journey, and this is going to be another way I got to heal.
Yeah.
And then I was like thinking, I was like, but now I'm a mom, so I get to teach her, and I get to show her, and I get to every day grow with her. And I was like, that's the best thing I could ask God. It's the biggest blessing, because I almost get to rewrite my life in certain ways through her. Like, give her that childhood and that space of existence that I lacked so bad and I so desperately wanted. And I now have that power to like make sure this little girl grows up with
pay
just
it forward.
love. Yeah,
Yes.
just love and just someone to guide her. I didn't have anyone guiding me. So it's a big like revelation that I'm like sitting here today. I'm going to be able to walk her through life and guide her, because that's all I ever wanted. Like, if it wasn't for my best friend, I don't know where I would be, because I just had no one that was like, you're going to be okay, or like, don't worry, like things happen, but better things are coming. So it's like, I'm that voice for her now, and I'm so excited.
It's so
Thank
exciting.
you. Yeah, I'm so excited.
April, that's
it's a
that's
big
soon.
year.
That
It's
is a
gonna be
big
year for me.
And so when you think of, like, do you think of things differently now that you must think? Oh, I answered that question for myself, actually.
I'm like, yeah.
Being a mom, I get that.
Yeah.
You think of everything differently.
Oh my gosh,
Once
so
there's someone
different.
else to think for.
Like
Yeah.
so different. Like I even imagine the day that I'm like reading my book to her, and I just sit and have these crazy, when I have a bunch of publications. When my first book came out, I did like magazine interviews, things like that, and I was going through them the other day, reading them, and I was like, one day I'll be able to show her, like, this is what I did with my story and my life, and this is who I chose to be. Like, who are you gonna choose to be? And I think just the simplicity and just the unknown of what her soul and her personality and all these things, it's just so beautiful.
It
It's
is
so
beautiful.
exciting to me. I didn't know how to think of being a parent for the longest time in my life. I think if you asked me, like, let's say a couple years ago, like, Haley, like, what do you think about like a family and being a mom? I don't know how I would have answered that
Right.
because I was never connected to that. I was, had a place of my mom and my father, and I just didn't know. I never really felt like I had that role in my life, so I didn't know how to connect to it.
Right.
And then now I'm like, oh, being a mom, like, oh my gosh, I can't wait. Like, I can't wait to grow with her.
Yeah.
I can't. It's the most exciting thing to me.
It's an incredible thing to be someone's mother.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
You're going to be her mother.
And that's a new thing I'm getting used to because I
Yeah.
never, ever
didn't
felt
have
that
that.
way before.
Right.
Never was connected to having a daughter. I was like, I don't want to bring someone into this world that, what if they're not loved enough? Or what if I can't do it? Or what? And then I was like, Haley, calm down. Like, God gave you a soul to walk through life with.
To guide.
So I'm like, I'm so ready
And to learn
meet her.
from.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, you're going to
to
find.
learn from.
You'll learn a lot about yourself.
Yeah, right. And I think that's what I'm most excited for. It's a new chapter of me.
That's very
It's a new story to write. It's a new story to tell.
Yeah.
It's a new experience. So I'm always in for that.
You're just down, aren't you? You're
I'm
just down
always
for
down.
it.
I'm like,
yes.
Come on, life.
I love it. Let's
just
do
live.
this. Yeah.
That's what it's about. Being alive. I really can't say anything other than life is what you make it. And when you wake up every day, you have a choice. You really do. And if you just take time to reflect and to know what you want and to pursue your passions, I think you're always going to be killing it. You're going to be surviving. And that's what it is I'm a survivor. So
you're a survivor who's now thriving though.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You've made that shift. That's
surviving and thriving, right? And it's something I hope my daughter looks up one day to me and she can find inspiration. Just that, like I did everything I could to make my life and the people around me better. So
incredible.
It's a new chapter, right?
I love your new chapter. I'm gonna ask you some fun questions.
Perfect.
These are easy. I think they're easy. I don't know. Maybe you won't think they're easy.
I think they will be good.
So what is the thing that brings you most joy?
Writing, poetry, art. Being able to create a thought and to know that somewhere out there in this world, someone's going to heal from reading that thought that I had or that idea or that piece of literature. Writing. 1,000%.
100%. Yeah, you didn't even have to think about that one.
No.
You did not have to think about that one. I like that. So when you think of success, what does success look like to you?
Success to me is something where I would say you're content with what you've done, given with what you've had. And so for me, I think as humans, we need to be more successful or more money or more this. We always want more. But to me, success is just at the end of the day, knowing you did everything you could, you tried as hard as you could, you loved as hard as you could, and just having joy and little moments like that, I think that's success. Success should be celebrated in small achievements and, those big milestones that we make for ourselves and achieve. Those are just as great, but it's also the small.
Everyday
It's
stuff.
like being like, today I woke up and I wasn't angry and I didn't yell and I was in control of myself and I just had a good day. Like that's success to me.
Yeah.
Or me, like I write a piece of poetry and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I've been missing this part of healing or I've been like wanting to say this and wow, that's success to me.
Yeah.
It's just small, like little
Agree.
things are you can find success in a lot of things.
In many things, I think, as long as you're awake
to it,
right? So what do you have a favorite book or do you have a favorite author?
Oh my gosh,
so many, too many.
I don't even know if we might be here all day.
Really?
Like you just come into my room, it's just like books. Like I just I read.
I just love it.
Sylvia Plath is huge to me.
She's
someone that her art and her poetic expression is deep. Renaissance. Sorry. Pregnancy. This is my pregnant brain. I'm sorry. But she connects so deep to my soul.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm into psychological thrillers too. I know that sounds like super
No.
kind of like weird.
No,
I
it's
just
not
love
weird.
reading. I'm going to say there's too many to list because
Okay.
I
Because there's
just
too many brilliant people that express
I'm into
themselves
like
well.
every form of literature. So,
I like that.
in my pregnant brain, I'm sore. I'm like, if I sit here and start giving, like, oh my gosh,
I think
we'll
you're
like
doing
spend
really
5
good.
minutes on talking about books.
No, you're doing great. So, when I think of, for myself, I think of the truest Rama. Like when I think of Rama and I close my eyes, Rama's always a child to me.
Yeah.
And I think that's when you're so true and authentic to
Yeah.
yourself before you find a reason to start to mask yourself in some ways,
Totally.
right? So has your inner child survived adulthood?
Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
Yeah.
I would say there's pieces in me that are still trying to figure themselves out, or
100%.
there's
Yeah.
like, I think we're a lot of people inside of us, right?
Yeah.
So I think there is parts of me that have a lot of work to do, but then yeah, I would say totally.
Yeah. I like it. Okay. This is a big one. The biggest lesson you've learned.
The biggest lesson I've learned in life would just to be probably, if I think back to everything, just find, because this is a big thing, purpose and passion. This is how I live my life. And this is something that I think you find so much freedom in once you find your purpose and passion. And I'd say the biggest lesson in life that you could learn is just to do the things that make you feel the most alive, whatever it is. Every day, wake up and just, whether it's people or a passion or dancing or singing or cooking, or the greatest
Whatever.
lesson in life I could share with someone is just wake up every day and do the smallest things that help you heal, that help you feel alive, that help you become a better person, that help you become a better lover, that help you connect to yourself deeper. Just like every day do something that brings you closer to
You?
you. That's exactly it. Yeah, I would say just like learning that lesson for myself. And when people are always like, oh, what's your advice on this and that? And I'm just like, if it makes you feel alive, if it feeds your soul, if it gives you passion, if it gives you purpose, do it. Like, life is too short to live in regret, to live in anger, to live in anything other than if it just makes you feel alive, it makes you feel good, if it wakes your soul, if you just do that, do those things, just do it. I would say
And
that.
do them lots.
Yeah, do them. No, every day, all day. Like, make it. Like, do them every day.
No, like literally all day.
Like, literally only do that. Like, there's no time for anything else. Just do what makes you happy, or who makes you happy. Whatever it is, just live alive.
I like that. I really like that. We had briefly spoken earlier, and we were talking about dreams.
Yes.
And dreams are a big thing
Huge.
for you, right?
Yeah.
Like
huge.
you dream. Well, we all dream, but you remember your dreams, and dreams to you are more than just dreams. Would you agree?
I agree. I would say for me, dreams are the way you can connect deepest to me and my soul, whether that's God sending me messages, because he does that a lot through my dreams, or the universe, or like someone trying to, or my life trying to deeply reach me. It'll always be through my dreams, no matter what. So it's something that even before my dad had passed away, the day of his passing, I actually dreamt that he died in my arms. And his soul was leaving his body. And he was like, Haley, I've healed. Like, Haley, I'm okay. Like, let me go. And I was holding him, like, with my hands. I was holding his soul. And I just was like, he was in pure white, just like pure white light. And I was just like crying because I was like, Dad, like, you've healed. I was so happy for him. And I woke up in like sweating. Like, I was like, it wasn't even a dream. I was like, this was the deepest thing I've ever been through. Ran into my sister's room and I was like, Josie, like, I had this dream. Dad passed away in my arms last night, but I don't think he's okay. Like, I think maybe he passed, or I don't know what's going on, but like, I don't feel like it was a dream. And then a couple minutes later, my phone rang, and it was like one of my good friends. And I was like, he's not just calling. I was like, something's happening. Something's going on in this day. Something is deep. Something is really deep. Like my dad just passed through me. Something's going on. And I got this phone call, and it was, sure enough, the phone call that you just like dread the most, but it's like my soul already knew it was happening. He already had passed through me before anyone could even call me. I knew. And it was like, Haley, I'm sorry, but like I'm at the house right now and your dad's gone. And I just was like, no way. Like I just dreamt this last night. Like, what do you mean? Like, how do you connect? How does this even happen? How do you go about like having gone through that and then waking up to be living it? It was just the most insane thing. And it's odd because before my dad passed away, he always was like, I'll meet you in your dreams. He always said that to me. He was like, anything that, you need in life, he's like, I'm not going to be here forever. He had cancer. He had liver cirrhosis. He wasn't well. He was sick. And he was always like, I'm not going to be here much longer, but just meet me in your dreams. If you ever need me, just meet me in your dreams. And I just remember like, people can say things, but until something happens, you can't connect to it. Yeah. And then having him pass away and me hold his soul when he was leaving this, it was something where I was like, I just knew. And ever since then, I have had like, I'm so connected to my dreams. I dream of him all the time. I dream of, my grandmother has passed away. I dream of my book. I didn't even know I was writing that. I've dreamt of that. I dream of my daughter that is not even here yet. And I dream, and then we talk, and you just meet me in my dreams. That's just where you can find me. Like if you need me, my soul will tell me in my dreams, whatever it is. So I'm deeply connected to my dreams.
That's a gift.
Mm-hmm.
That is a gift.
I think so too.
100%.
I do, because I talk to people, and people are like, I can't even remember my dream like after I wake up, and I'm like, what? Like, I used to have like a dream log, because I'm like, this stuff is deep. These are like hidden answers, and this stuff is like crazy. Like God comes through, and like 100%. My dad or whatever I'm going through, like that stuff happens in my dreams. So
Haley,
yeah. So
damn,
I
you're
love it
deep.
Though. I'm all about the dream world.
Yeah, I'm a dreamer. There's depth to you, hey? Like,
oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
I love in this little package, just deep, deep, lots of deepness.
Just
deepness.
Just pure deep of the ocean. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, thank you.
No, thank you. Mm-hmm. A couple fun questions for you. Chocolate or candy?
Chocolate. I don't know. That was hard because I was like, wait, say candy. But my brain was like, no, I want chocolate
today? Right now? Okay.
Right now I want chocolate. So
okay. But we'll go chocolate for now.
Okay.
Pizza or pasta?
Pasta?
You didn't even hesitate?
I eat pasta every day. Stop.
Do you eat pasta every day?
Every day. I'm not exaggerating.
Good
Maybe
for
it's
you.
A pregnancy thing. I don't know.
Maybe.
Tell
but
me
you're enjoying
if it's a pregnancy thing, but
it might be a pregnancy thing for
every
you.
Every day pasta. Dang. I don't even care. Red sauce, white sauce.
You don't discriminate. Any type of pasta.
Pink sauce. I don't
Purple
care.
Purple sauce.
Put the
chocolate sauce.
Plain, just noodles. I'm eating it.
I love it. Comedy or drama?
Drama. Yeah, and people would probably say comedy, but I'm like, no, I love a good.
I know. Good cry.
I love heart.
Do you like a good cry?
Soul. I love to just cry my soul out because something touched me in an inspirational way.
It makes me feel. Do you know what though? You talk about being alive. That makes me feel alive. When I feel when something could come through and get me like that. Ooh.
That's when I'm like, okay, like come on,
yeah,
bring the intensity, bring the tears, bring the emotion. Yeah, I'm all for the drama.
Okay, sunrise or sunset?
Oh my gosh, that is like okay.
Is that just too hard for you?
As a poet, like my whole world of poetry in my mind is sunrise, sunsets.
Really?
I don't know if I can answer that. Sunrise
Seriously?
or sunset?
You can't.
Like that's like asking. The hardest question I think anyone's asked me.
Really?
Like, hold on. Wait a minute. 1 second. I'll think. I'm gonna say. I might think back like after I'm in the car and be like, I don't know about that. But I'm gonna say the sunset because the colors of the sky when the sun is setting is a little bit different than the sunrise.
It is.
But the sunset, if you go on my phone, it's like all I do is take photos of the sunset. All I do is write about the sunset. I think there is so much beauty in things setting, and then in the night, and then being able to restore and wake up. But just in the sunset alone, the colors, oh my gosh. No,
I
I'm
think
going
that's your
with
answer.
sunset. You know what?
Yeah.
I'll drive. I know I'll drive down the street and I'll be like, I should have said sunrise.
No.
I don't know. See something so simple like sunrise or sunset. You
Yeah.
ask me that? That's
That's
tough.
a tough
That's
one?
deep. That's deep. And it's like, it shouldn't even be deep, but that's deep.
But no, but it is
Final
deep.
answer, sunset.
Okay.
The colors of the sunset.
I like
You just,
it.
like, that's the most beautiful thing in the world to me is the sun.
I think-
Sunset, sunrise.
Yeah, I think just seeing, I agree. My favorite is the sunrise.
Ooh.
I do. I love that new. I just love
The
this.
new,
I just
the
love
warmth,
it. I do.
the awakening.
Sky, yes.
Love
the
too hard. Now I want to
sky
say
is-
sunrise, but I'm like,
No, you said
ugh.
sunset.
No, it's
You're
sunset.
locked in with
Nope,
sunset.
sunset.
Thank
I love
you,
the sunset.
Haley.
No, yeah, thank you. This
No,
has been
thank
so
you.
great.
This has been amazing. And I think I'm going to give you the title of the OG.
The
original
OG.
guest. Yeah,
I
girl.
love that.
You
No, I
killed
love
it.
that.
You came
Thank
here
you.
and you were just open, and this is the purpose of this, is to share stories, to open
Yeah.
minds, open hearts, to connect. And you did just that. I
Thank
cannot
you.
thank you enough. It was
I know.
amazing.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Until next time.